What's going on? I'm Russ Attitude, and this is the You Want It, You Got It podcast. Today, I'm chatting with Josh from Lowlife Productions. How's it going, Josh?
What up? What up? Good to
How
be
you
here, man.
how you been?
Been doing good, man. It's good to see you. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a few minutes, man.
Yeah.
I guess we were talking off the podcast. It's probably been about maybe almost 3.5, 4 years since the last time we actually seen each other physically, I think.
I feel like when was the warehouse? When was
Oh,
the
the
last show? I feel like that
oh
was 22, right?
Yeah, so 2 years ago. 2 years ago is like last month. So yeah, 2 years,
Yeah,
okay. Alright, so not too bad, not too bad. Um, so what have you been up to since those 2 years?
man. I went to school for audio engineering.
Okay,
I think I was in school when the last time I saw you.
okay,
But yeah, so I got a certificate there in audio. So I did
okay.
that, completed that. Um, Yeah, man, I've just been just kind of chilling and doing my thing. I went full time with photography at the beginning of this year, so like January. I was working for a company. I won't say who it was, but decided to not deal with that anymore. Kind of did my own thing. So here I am.
Well, let's go back to that. Like when you started, I guess I met you probably maybe right before COVID or maybe at the beginning of COVID, probably at the warehouse shooting some shows. Um, It w Is that when you started shooting shows, was around that era, or have you always had a passion for shooting things?
So well, we met like before COVID. Man, it was like what 2016,
Yeah, I guess you're
17.
yeah, I guess you are right, yeah, my time is all messed up on things, but yeah, that sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I was booking shows at the warehouse like way before COVID.
That's I do remember that now.
Yeah. But yeah, COVID's when I basically when I started. Yeah, I was working with like a few bands like locally. Um, really, I started doing videography. So I was just, I mean, it's really shitty. I don't know if I can cuss, but
Oh, yeah, yeah.
it was like it's kind of really shitty, man. Like I was using like this it's like a little handheld they call it a potato cam. It's like a little Sony Sony handy cam. That and like mixed with like some GoPros and um yeah, I mean I look back on like some of my footage and I'm just like, what the hell is this?
But that's what you learned from, you know?
Yeah, I went from there and just kind of upgrade over time and um yeah, like a couple of the bands that I was working with, um, I was like, man, I'm doing all this the video and I'm like, we should do photos too. Um, so my first like professional camera. So you asked like if I had like an interest in photography, longer, but yeah, I mean like my dad, my dad was he was into it and not like super heavy, but like he had like a nice camera, film, it's old school, and my grandfather did too. I think he did like more like birds, you know.
Gotcha.
Um, yeah. So, yeah, that was like my mom's dad. So it's kind of weird. I guess, back then, like, everybody wanted a film camera. Everybody was, shooting different subjects, but still a photographer.
I mean, when I was a kid, I mean, so now I guess when I was a kid, but probably my teens, I used to always video like us skateboarding when we were kids, and then back then, of course, to take a picture back then, it was like you didn't have anything crazy fancy. You either had like your typical, film camera where you just are all right, and you hopefully you get a good shot, or and then you wouldn't know until you developed it. But I remember us videotaping our skate videos, man, and it was like this big ass tank thing on our shoulder that
Yeah.
you put the whole VHS cassette tape in there to
Hmm.
record. Man, that thing was a beast, but that's what we called
Yeah.
it. Actually, was the beast. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I have a couple like 8 millimeter video cameras.
I like
Um,
those.
yeah, I have. I have like a slew of just like old like gear and stuff. I shoot film too.
Hmm.
Like I have a few like film cameras. Yeah, let's circle back. Sorry.
No, you're good.
So yeah, so I went to a pawn shop in Nashville and just was just kind of searching around, and I just happened to see they had a DSLR, like a just a before, like now there's like mirrorless cameras which are like it's like a whole new world. But before it was DSLRs, and there was just like this kit, like a like a Nikon kit. And it was like super cheap. I mean, it was like $250.
Yeah.
It's cheap relatively to what it is now. And yeah, I was like, I started with that, and then just quickly upgraded, and that was what 2019, 2020, something like that, or like right in the middle of COVID, I guess, or like right before everything shut down, I guess, because I was able to go to the pawn shop.
In
Yeah,
Nashville.
yeah.
Did do you remember the first thing you shot video
You
wise?
know, I think you say video.
Yeah, what was the first video shot? Because you said you started out with a video. What was the first video you shot, like video footage?
Man, that was either I know it was at the warehouse. There was either of serpents
Okay.
or do you remember the band Square?
No.
They did like some Tool covers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. They're from Nashville.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
definitely
yeah.
do know them. Yeah.
It was one of the two. It was either Square or it was of serpents. There was just like a local show at the warehouse, and
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I just showed up with my GoPros. I know the last time I was at the warehouse, I put a GoPro mount on that column right there, like where like in front of the stage.
It's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, it was still there whenever whenever I was last there. And I remember some of the bands that would be touring through, I would always mention them like, hey, there's a GoPro mount, like you're more than welcome. Because you would never know, it's just kind of blended in. But
Well, it's funny you say that because when I was in guerrilla warfare, we shot some. We were shooting a bunch of footage at the time, and we never did anything with it, but we have it still.
mhm.
Or someone has it. I know I have some of it, but anyway, Lael, who was using it, he was like, "Hey, man, the other night when we were at the warehouse, I know there was a GoPro mount up there. So next time we play, I'm going to bring my GoPro. I'm going to you put it up there." And sure enough, that's where he put it right there in the on that column, and
Yep.
it's
Yep.
pretty cool. So
Yeah, I
you're
put
the
that
one.
I'm the one that put that up there. Yep.
It's probably still there.
I mean, I haven't even been by there. Like, what is the warehouse now? Like, what
The warehouse.
is it still
It's
open?
no, it's just a building. There's nothing
Oh,
there
okay.
yet. Nothing has been
Gotcha.
done to it yet.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
That's crazy. Yeah. Um, yeah, so I just like during during the time of like shooting at the warehouse quite a bit, like um I was booking shows and I was booking Nashville bands in Clarksville, just trying to like branch out a little bit.
Hmm.
And in doing that, I would shoot my shows myself, so I'd have like footage or whatever to promote for the next one. And then sorry, and then so with when in doing that, like I just made a bunch of connections and just started shooting in Nashville. And then yeah, sadly the warehouse closed, and then I was pretty much strictly in Nashville. So um I don't know if I mean I've shot some shows at what's that place over by the university?
The Rebel House.
Yeah, the Rebel
Hmm.
House. I've shot some stuff there. I think I did a live stream for you guys at the
for
Rebel House.
guerrilla warfare.
Yeah, or Modern Primate, one or the other.
I think it was the Modern Primate show. I don't recall if I was at that show, but it was for well, maybe I was at that show. Was that the benefit show?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, yeah, I remember that now. Yeah, that was a good turnout, and that place is a decent little venue.
Yeah.
Shout out. Shout out to Dawn. I think she gets a lot of shout outs on this podcast, and I don't think she knows it. But shout out to Dawn. She, the Rebel House. She's doing her thing there with the live music. It's not always a lot of heavy shows, but she does have a lot of shows going on there, and they're always a good turnout.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
did you ever shoot at the P Patch yet?
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's
I'd always heard of it, but like I don't even know if I've ever been in there.
well, it recently they just started doing a lot more shows there. I don't really believe it used to be a venue for shows. I know I used to go to the bar part of it often, and then I know they used to have DJ set up there and whatnot. But now, of course, they got the metal shows going on there all the time, at least one a month.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, and I've not yet to been to one, so that might change tonight. Um,
Okay.
but
Yeah,
it
Clarksville needs more venues.
Oh, dude, it's such a growing town, and there's not a venue for really any music in Clarksville, unless you're a bar band, which is nothing wrong with a bar band because those guys are doing it, working just as hard as any other band too, But
Hmm.
that's all they, if you're not playing a cover set or they don't really want you.
Yeah, now there's the new arena up there.
That's
So I
pretty
mean,
nice.
either a bar band or a national act coming through. That's it.
Well, they had Breaking Benjamin was here earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Dwight Yoakam was here last week. Um,
That's awesome.
yeah, they've had a few bigger bands come through. I mean, Bert Kreischer, the comedian, he was here back in April.
Okay.
Because they had Comedy Week and Nashville Comedy Fest. All the areas around they try to book as much comedy in the areas they can, so that's what that was part of. But I mean, it's still new, but they're getting some acts, they're getting stuff. I know every November they have the Professional Bull Riding Association come through, the PBR guys. They come doing
Oh
the bull.
wow. I didn't
They
know
had
that.
Yeah, they had NXT, WWE's NXT came to there already.
Wow, I was at the one the last time that oh no, it was I think it was AEW. When
Okay,
AEW came to Bridgestone,
okay.
um I got a ticket as a seat filler and I got to watch the show. Yeah.
So those rumors are true. Okay, I hear you. I hear those. I've heard about the rumors, but you can confirm you were a seat filler. I go.
Yeah, 100%, man. I can fill a seat for sure.
um, but yeah, like you were saying, though, Clarksville does need some new venues, man. And but I mean, we'll get there again. Back in the '90s, there's all kinds of places for bands to play, and then the tornado kind of came and everybody rebuilt downtown, and a lot of those places didn't get rebuilt, I guess you'd say. So,
Yeah.
but
I think probably the next like year or two, like something's gonna happen. It has to like and then whatever happens, like it's gonna blow up. Like it's gonna be crazy.
yes, I mean, eh, I know I'm saying this, but I could do it. But someone just needs to bite the bullet and do it. Go for it.
Hmm.
Just buy. But the place is, I mean, you got to find someplace that's already exists. You don't, because then you got to build it from the ground up. That's gonna take a lot more money. Um,
Well, it depends. Sometimes like repairing a place can be more difficult or more expensive.
yeah, you're
It just
correct.
depends.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're all right because you got to depending on how long the building was down, you got to get back up to current codes, and
Hmm.
yeah, you're right about that too. I know they've tried several different places in Clarksville to open up new venues over the last couple of years, and it just didn't work out. But it is what it is. So Nashville, you say you started shooting around Nashville, doing your thing down there. What was some of the first stuff you were doing down in that area?
So I mean, even during COVID, when everything was quote unquote shut down, we were doing shows like,
Yeah,
um, yeah, I mean, like, so, I was doing that, and then, let's see, I mean, it was mainly local shows.
yeah.
It was, pretty much everybody was going to like a couple spots, and that was the only place that was doing shows really. So, um, trying to like, I think I kind of what like, kicked me like into high gear really was like I started reaching out to like publications, just different like online magazines,
Okay.
and I had I had a couple like actually message me back, and one of them uh, like was like, yeah, I got a show next week, like if you want to cover it, and I'm like, yeah, like let's go, let's do it. And that was a little band named Alter Bridge.
Oh, that little band.
Yeah, the little band. And then some people know Mammoth.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah,
Yeah, some people know Mammoth.
yeah.
Um,
Wow, that's pretty cool.
so that was my first like publication gig ever. Was Alter Bridge and Mammoth, and oh man, I can't remember who else was on the bill. It was cool, man. Like I was talking to I think the tour manager, and Miles Kennedy has like a thing with shoes.
Okay.
And he lost a bet before the show, and whoever like his punishment for losing is he had to wear these like black and yellow like loafers. And one of the shots I got is like it's like a full body shot with him like right up next to the stage, and I'm like right up like chest against the stage. This is at the Ryman, and I got a shot of like his shoes, like it's like a wide angle shot, so it's like his shoes are like up in my face. It was great.
Wait, you're saying your first like that? I guess you'd say like that kind of band. That's that big of a band was at the Ryman.
It was at the Ramen, yeah.
Wow, dude, that's pretty fucking epic.
It was a great show, man. I
And it,
tried. I put in for what was it? It wasn't Megadeth. It was man. They just had they had just had a metal show there like right before, and we didn't put in time for me to cover it, so they like denied us. And I was like, okay, this is how it's gonna go. And he was like, oh no, I got Alter Bridge for you next week. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, all right. Um, yeah, that was yeah, I mean, like I went from that, and then it was kind of, I didn't know what to expect because I didn't really like have any friends that were shooting for publications.
Okay.
Everybody I knew was just shooting local bands. And yeah, like I think after Alter Bridge, it went back from that, like from like a huge band, then you go to like, oh, we're gonna cover Striper at was it the Basement East?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, all right. So we're back to like small venues, because I'm like over here hoping for like Bridgestone and like Municipal and like Nissan and all that, that so as of now, Nissan is the only large venue that I haven't shot at.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, then you better put in for that Metallica show.
Man, when are they coming?
May 1st and May 3rd.
Okay.
It's a Thursday and a Saturday.
I feel like I saw that. Man, Nashville is so flooded. It's crazy. It's tough, man. Like, if like say like Metallica, right? Like, if it's a one night show, by the time that I go to put in, sometimes like there'll already be like 3 or 4 requests under one publication. So that means like sometimes you have to shoot for multiple publications to even try to put in a request.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like I'll message like my first choice, be like, hey, and somebody covering the show. And they're like, oh, such and such is already covering it, or they already put in for it. So now I got to go to like publication, B, the next one. It's like, hey, somebody put in for this already, and they're like, well, I think we put in for it. Then well, let me check, and I'm like, if I wait on a response, I'm gonna lose out. So I'm like, I'll just go ahead and go to publication C, and I'm like, let's try this, and they're like, you can go ahead, but we got denied last time or something. It's always like a
Yeah.
probably not. So it's pretty tough. But when you get the gig, it's like, oh man. Um, Actually, I got an email this morning. Tomorrow I'll be covering Everclear and Marcy's Playground
Where's that at?
at Pelham, Tennessee, at the Caverns.
Oh man, that would be an epic show. I love me some Everclear.
Yeah, I'll be there tomorrow.
Oh man, that's yeah. I used to see Everclear all the time when they would come through Nashville at 328 or on the river or at Starwood. You know,
Oh yeah,
they're a great live band. So you said who did you film at Bridgestone that was pretty popular or that you enjoy to do?
my first show at Bridgestone was uh it was Filter, Rob Zombie, and Alice Cooper.
Oh man, that was
Yeah,
that tour.
that was that was one of the craziest shows. I like so like you get photo like you're in the photo pit, right? So you
Uh
get
huh.
the first for the most part, like kind of the rule of thumb is you get the first three songs, no flash, no video. So you're standing there like up against like if the band has a curtain, so you're like up against the curtain basically. Well, that depends on if there's like a curtain drop, they don't let us in until after the curtain drops. So like when you're in the crowd and there's like a curtain that like falls to the ground.
And they pull it down.
So like what it does is it'll like they'll release it and it falls down to the bottom and there's like a slew of people at the bottom. There's like 20 people at the bottom. And immediately they start rolling it up and they'll just carry it out like out of the arena. Like it's just like out like it's just gone. And as they're like say they're taking it over to like stage right, then we're coming in from stage left and like the photographers just kind of like stampede in because we already missed the intro, so now we're like trying to catch up because you only get three songs. um yeah, so with Rob Zombie, he had the curtain drop, so we had to wait on that, and we missed like. And as I'm walking up to the stage, like Bridgestone, already the stage is like probably like 8 feet tall,
Okay.
right? So it's like already taller than you. So you're shooting up, and Rob's like standing on this big podium that's probably like another 15 feet in the air above that. So he's like 25, 30 feet in the air, and you're trying to like get a photo. It's like from right up underneath his nose. So that was kind of tough.
Yeah.
Um, Second song, he come down though. There's like a different platform right below, but he was running back and forth.
Yep.
Dude is everywhere, man.
He's yeah, and for his age, he's so active on stage. You know.
It's crazy. But what was insane was like every part of the stage was an LED wall, like
Wow.
everything. So uh, and like everything behind him was like moving. Like the screen, like it looked like everything was moving.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff from like his movies and stuff is like playing, like basically like his music videos. Um, Man, it was insane. Alice Cooper, he had like this big it was like a newspaper article that was like a banner,
Okay.
and when he come out, he had a sword, and he like put the sword through the newspaper and like cut it down and like stepped through.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome, man.
That's cool, man. He's definitely a performer. You know, he's one of the last of the original shock rockers, man. He's still and he's out there and he still holds his own. You know, nobody can deny that Alice Cooper is one of the greats of what he does. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, what was crazy is one of the last shows I was covering at the Ramen. I'm after I'm done with my three songs, I'm just kind of chilling out to the back, and he just walks by me, him and his wife. He just like walks by me, like right in front of me. He comes from the back, like from the backstage.
Uh huh.
And he just walks right in front of me, like out into the lobby of of the Ramen, and I'm like, what is this?
What show was that?
Oh man, I knew you were gonna ask me that. Hang on.
I mean, so you guys know what Alice Cooper's checking out. You know.
Let's see, who is this?
That's pretty cool, though, man. Yeah. Did you get some cool Nita Strauss pictures?
Man, okay, so one of the I guess I skipped a little bit. So before I was covering shooting for publications, I was trying to get into like some house gigs, like so being a house photographer for some venues. And Exit In was one of them.
Oh
Was like,
yeah,
oh
yeah.
yeah, like I got you. Like let's let's do. Yeah. So um, I um, I started shooting for Exit In, and Nita Strauss came through. It was just her and her band. Like it was under
Hmm.
her name. And man, what a show! It was. She's amazing.
Hmm.
Uh, like stage presence, like guitarist, like just a person. She's amazing, amazing person. Just all the way around. Like it was great. What's crazy is I think it was 3 shows after that is when I don't know his name, but he proposed to her on stage.
Oh, her
Her
drummer,
drummer, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, so they're married now and
yeah,
everything. But yeah, so it was. I was like, man, I wish they would have done that in Nashville. That
for
would have been
sure.
great. Like I could have got that photo.
Did she reposted some of your pictures too, didn't she?
She did,
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember
She's
that.
she's really good about that, like, and she'll, like, credit you too. She's like a lot of people, like, if they do repost it, they usually don't tag you, because sometimes, like, they just don't know? It's like
Yeah,
they don't know where it came from. It's like, "Oh, it's a cool photo. Let's post it?"
I remember.
Um
I remember you posted something up one time, and I think you mentioned to that like, "Hey, I'm the one who did this picture," and then they put then they edited the caption and put you as they credit you as the photographer in
Yeah,
it.
there's been some times where, like, it's been an issue, but, there's a band out of California. I'm not gonna say who they are, but, they kinda they use one of my photos as one of their flyers,
Mm,
and, they had somebody edit my photo. It was actually for a house show for X and N. I was shooting house for X and N for 'em, and they went through and, like, photoshopped, like, the X and N sign out, and, like
really?
yeah, they did, like, all kinds of crazy stuff, and they put it on their flyer, and I was like, "This is my photo." So, like, uh, I messaged them, on Instagram, and I was like, "Hey, like, uh, for one, like, what happened to the photo? And also, like, can you credit me just for photo credit?" Like, I wasn't trying to be like an ass about it. I was just like, "Hey, like, you fix the credit, and I'm cool with it. Like, I don't care if you use the photo, um, but just credit for like, whoever the artist is. I'm big on like crediting like like the creative team
No,
or
for sure.
whoever. I'm huge on that. Um, so yeah, I just I was like, hey man, let's fix this. And I didn't hear back from him for like I don't know, it was like a week. And I was just like, okay, so I'll just comment. And I'm like, hey, can we fix this? And then like some people saw it and they were like, I mean, there was like a slew of people that commented on it and was like they were all mad. Finally, he messaged me. He was like, "Hey, you gotta tell him to stop." Like they got like bombarded. It was kind of a I don't know. It's kind of a dick move, but it got fixed. So
Hey, I mean, I even for my podcast when if there's a photo that I'm going to use for the artist for their image on there for the podcast, I'm like, hey, do you know who took this picture so I can at least get them the credit in the description? And
hmm
they're like, oh yeah, yeah, so and so. I was like, all right, cool, and I'll tag them because I don't want to be using their photo if maybe they don't want me to use it or I don't know. So I just wanted to cover like you said, you gotta give credit where credit is due. So
yeah. As a photographer, it's always good. Like it makes you feel good to see like the artist using your photos. Um, like especially like if it's like a profile photo. Man, I've had people use like footage or like photos for Spotify.
hmm
They do like the visuals now on
yeah.
Spotify. So like I've had some artists use like my footage for visuals on Spotify.
Hmm.
And I'm like, man, that's dope. Nobody like really huge, but like still like regardless, it's like you liked my work enough to like put that out there.
For sure.
I remembered who Alice Cooper was seeing, and that was Joe Bonamassa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when I covered Joe, that's who Alice Cooper was there to see.
I mean, I don't even think Alice lives in that. I think he probably maybe has a place in Nashville. I think he lives in like Arizona or something. But I mean, hell,
Uh,
everyone's moving to Nashville these days, so he could live in Nashville now.
I know he has a place out toward like Lebanon.
Okay.
A friend of mine is kind of friends with him.
Hmm.
Um, so Alice Cooper he's a Christian, like
Yeah.
he's big in
Yeah.
religion. So they do they have like when bands come to town that are like uh, like Brian Welch, say like Brian Welch, they chill at Alice Cooper's house. Like that's like the stop. Like they're coming to Nashville, they go see Alice Cooper.
I mean, hey, they all looked up to Alice Cooper when they were starting out when they were playing too.
Yeah. It's just crazy that like they do like basically they go to Alice Cooper's house to like have church. You know
Oh wow, yeah.
they do like meetings and stuff and just kind of hanging out. It's like it's really cool. Same thing with like the Striper guys. They when they came to town, like they were hanging out with Alice. So
Yeah. How was shooting that gig?
Striper was fun, man. Like the
Were you
I'm terrible.
familiar with their music, but before you did that?
I knew of them and like
Uh-huh.
I had heard some stuff, but like never been like, oh, let's play some Striper. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
um no, and, I they were great guys and like
Yeah.
the music was great, the show was good. Like they're older, but like they still had a lot of energy. I love the bass player, man. He was like feeding into it. Like he was
Mhm.
like doing all kinds of crazy stuff on stage for me. That's like another thing. It's like when for all of the performers out there, if you have a photographer like close to you, just do some crazy shit. Just like jump, like let them get the jump shot. Like that is like a photographer's goal. So the bass player was like all into it, man. He was like kind of slouch like kind of like bending forward for me and like let me get like close up shots and stuff of the
Okay.
bass, like bass up in my camera and doing like guitar faces. It was great. Loved it. We got some great photos out of it. Yeah, it was a great show.
So if I'm not mistaken, I believe that bass player at that time when you shot them was actually the old bass player that used to be in the band Firehouse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think he's been with Striper for the last 20 something years. But yeah, he used to be in Firehouse.
Yep. Yeah. He's a tall guy. He's really tall and he's got like really long blonde hair.
Yeah, like
It's
curly blonde.
all curly. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's him.
Um, yeah, I've never gotten to see Striper. I've always liked to wanted to go see him. But I like how every once in a while you'll be like, hey, I shot so and so last night. I'll be like, I get all jealous. I'm like, oh man. Now I know I'm jumping around here, but it's all right. We can go back and forth. But when I got really jealous that you got to shoot was Bush.
Man. So I used to work event security around town.
Uh huh.
This was back in 2000, man, like 2007 to 2009.
Okay.
Um, and one of the shows that I worked was the crawfish boil. And this
Okay.
was this was right after the flood. So normally it would be on Riverfront in downtown Nashville, and it was still like the water was still too high to have a show there. So they had it in the parking lot of LP Field, which is now Nissan Stadium.
Correct.
Um, so where the like the walkover bridge that takes you from like was it second, third, whatever it is, um over to like Nissan Stadium.
Yeah.
So it was right next to that bridge. Like you could like stand on the bridge and like look over the stage. It was really cool. Um, yeah, I was working that show and um, man, like Bush performed. It was Gavin Rosdale. It was performing Bush songs, right?
Correct.
Um, and I just remember I in that moment I just went back to like being like a 10-year-old kid jamming to Bush. Like, I was just that was like the coolest thing ever, you know. Um, so then what is it? 14. No, what? How many ever years later? You know, like this was. I guess this was last year when I shot it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, about 14 years later.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
15 years. Yeah.
So, yeah, man, it was who was it? Breaking Benjamin on that show? I think it was Breaking Benjamin.
No, you're good.
I'm looking now. Um,
I know that tour was a great lineup. That venue though, that was done at the what is that? The something. What bank or arena is that?
so that's First Bank.
First Bank. Okay, and that's
Yeah,
in
it's in
Franklin.
yep in Franklin. Um, so it used to be a rock quarry, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and they just turned it into a venue, and man, it sounds amazing. Like the just the acoustics off the rock
Oh yeah, I
and
bet.
everything. Like it sounds so good.
So that
Um,
show was that was Breaking Benjamin Bush and Another Day Dawns.
yes, yep.
That was April or sorry, May 3rd
Was it
of
May 3rd?
2023.
It yes, yep. Bush was on at 7:50, so I guess they went on to like probably 7:30.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just looked at my timestamp
Yeah.
on the photo.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so Bush actually opened up for Breaking Benjamin, which was weird to me, but you know,
Really?
yeah,
Hmm.
it was the Breaking Benjamin tour, but Bush was on it, and man, Gavin's a performer, man. He like so you know like amphitheaters like you know if you're up front like it's great, but if you're in the back, everybody looks like ants. Like you really can't see what's going on. I will say, First Bank has like really good seating, like the way they're designed.
Okay.
It's you can still like tell like what's really going on. Like you're not too far away. But Gavin took off through the crowd all the way to the cheap seats, and like with his guitar in hand. Or no, I think he just went out there with a mic. I don't think he had his guitar. Um, yeah, he went all the way to the back. Like I thought that was the coolest thing, man. Like some people can't afford, you know, expensive seats.
Correct.
So they suffer and I mean they want to go to the show and it's you know it's fun, but like you still don't you can't get close, you know, but Gavin fixed that for him. So I thought that was really dope. Um yeah, I like stuff like that, you know.
Well, you've heard the stories and of Billy Joel who doesn't sell the front row tickets to his concerts, and he'll bring down people from the cheap seats and let them come down and watch the show in the front row because he feels like those are the true fans.
Yeah. I didn't know that, but like
Hmm.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it does that too. Also, for I guess for like scalping reasons and whatnot. But I've heard those stories and stuff, and I think that's really cool of him. I mean,
Yeah.
I've heard negative stuff about Billy Joel, but you hear negative things about a lot of people. But that's really cool that he does that for his fans.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. Now, what you were saying though, I've seen Gavin do that in a lot of shows. Like you'll be sitting there in the grass, just chilling with your friends, and all of a sudden you just see him coming up, and he'll just stop and just
Yeah.
sit there, and he'll either stand or sit down with you and just start singing with everybody. And the
Mhm.
crowd's really chill though, because no one really bombards them too much.
Yeah.
Not,
Yeah.
not
Like
as much as you would think.
exactly. Yeah, it's you know, I guess, you know, people just respect it. It's
Mhm.
like, you know, everybody appreciates what he's doing and you know, and like other bands do it too.
Oh yeah.
But dude's a legend, man. Like he's, you know, um
I know.
yeah, I
What's
think
that
it's
band? 30 Seconds to Mars. Jared Leto. He does the same thing. He goes out into the crowd too, and hangs out. When he's performing, he'll go and perform out with the crowd a lot too.
he so when I covered them at Sad Summerfest, which was at Ascend Amphitheater downtown. And I think he went up to like the pit, but he didn't go any farther.
Okay.
Which is still cool. Like you got down. A lot of people get up against the barricade, but like I think he actually got into the pit, I believe.
That's still
Um,
cool.
yeah.
What you said, Sad Summer? I didn't even. That's in Nashville.
Yeah, it was. I think last year was the second year.
Okay, I never even
Uh,
heard of that.
30 Seconds to Mars. Man,
What year did you do? Yet last year or
last
the
year.
um because let's see. I'm looking at the lineup right now. There's so many different ones, but did you shoot the whole fest, or do you guys get to shoot only certain artists?
So through the publication, you, for the most part in Nashville, I mean most cities actually, but you have to go through Live Nation.
Gotcha.
And if you get approved through Live Nation, um, for the most part, you get to shoot the whole show. There's been times where it's like, you can shoot everybody but this band, like this one band.
Mm-hmm.
Sad Summerfest, we did get to shoot the whole show. And we got to shoot from the pit for the whole time.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, sometimes you have to shoot from the soundboard. Like Steve Miller, when I shot for Steve Miller, I had to shoot from the soundboard this was at First Bank Amphitheater. So I'm like somewhere between 200, 300 feet away, trying to shoot a guy on stage, and it's tough. Unless you have like insane gear. Um,
Oh yeah, to zoom
I,
in.
so I'll tell you the craziest story.
Yeah, let's
With
get some
with
crazy.
with that. So I guess unless you're like a photographer, unless like it doesn't seem like that bad, but um, this is before I started. Like this is like before I got with the publication. I um I requested for a show through myself, and like it's unheard of to go through Live Nation, and they approve you for a show without a publication.
Okay.
I covered Avril Lavigne and MGK
Wow.
under my own set, like under myself, which is crazy. This was in Louisville, and at the time that was the first time I'd ever shot from the soundboard. I had no clue what I was getting into. Um, so at the time, I only had it's an 85 millimeter lens, which is, um, you know, normally for shooting somebody that's like it's usually like for portraits,
Okay.
like for studio work, so it doesn't reach very far. We're talking like somebody's like 25 feet away from you. Um, but my so I talked about my grandfather. Had he used to be a photographer, and um, he had this old lens that was like huge, but it was all manual. So you had to like manually control the focus. Like this was like before autofocus.
Okay.
So like you're like working, right? So I bought an adapter to go from that old lens to my new camera, just so I could like try to get some photos like up close. And
Wow.
and old lenses, they tend to like start getting like some type of like film over the glass,
Oh yeah.
and so everything kind of gets a little hazy. So yeah, so I shot Avril Lavigne on like this 1980s glass, um that was like hazy, and like man, like the photos, like when I look back I'm like this is gross, like this is bad. But like I did have my 85, which was like a new glass, and I get some decent like wide angle shots, which an 85, like calling it a wide angle is insane. Wide angle is usually at 24 millimeters.
Okay.
So it was a huge jump. And this is inside. It was a KFC like Yum Center is what it's
Oh
called.
yeah. Yep. Yep.
Um, yeah. So we're shooting from like across the court, basically, like from one side to the other. Yeah. So it was just trying to get photos with like this tiny lens. Compared to this the house photographer there had this 12,000, or it was a $12,000 lens. and I'm over here like, I mean, the lens that I had was still like fairly expensive, but nowhere near what she had, and I was like, damn, okay, now I know what I need. Uh, yeah, I made it work though.
Well, let me ask you a question. You were saying about these shows that you could only do like you guys only get the first three songs. And why is that?
Um, you know, for the most part, I think it's when you're on stage performing, you get sweaty, and
Uh-huh.
I feel like that's part of it. Like the bands just don't want sweaty photos of themselves.
Hmm.
Um, Also, I know like if they're doing like just some crazy production stuff, you might be in the way.
Gotcha. Yeah.
They do like confetti cannons, and like the confetti cannons are in the photo pit. So like if you're standing right next to that thing, it's gonna go off, and like if you're in front of it, that's gonna suck. So
Yeah. Gotcha.
I
That makes sense.
I have had a CO2 canister, like one of the like in the shows they have the CO2 that shoots straight up in the air.
Yeah.
So I have been right, like my lens had been like right on the edge of one of those, and it like covered me in fog. Like it was insane. Um, Thankfully, usually like when they do like pyro, security will tell you it's like, hey, this is happening on the second song. Don't stand over here. you know. Um, so that's pretty cool. And it gets hot.
I
Like
bet.
dude, like when you think about like how big those like or how tall the flames are, and you're like 2-3 feet away from those flames,
Hmm.
man, it's hot.
Yeah, I remember when I went and saw Metallica years back, and I was in the box seats, and they play in the middle, and you could feel at Bridgestone, you were able to feel those fire cannons from the stage all the way up in those box seats, man. I'm like, fuck, just to imagine how much hotter it is on stage for those dudes, man. Fuck.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think the first show that I ever shot with pyro was Motionless in White.
Oh wow, okay.
I don't know if you know who they are.
Yeah, I do.
Um, that was a crazy show. So it was in this moment was the headliner, right?
Oh, that would have been great to see.
Or no, they were direct support. They were second from last, right?
Hmm.
Um, so that was the whole reason why I put in for the show is I wanted to shoot in this moment. And when I got down there, I found out that was the only band I couldn't shoot.
Really?
So I got to shoot Motionless in White, Fit for a King, and one other band. Um, Anyways, it was a great show, but yeah, I was really bummed that I didn't get to shoot in this moment. That's one of my favorite metal bands,
Oh yeah, Maria, man, she's beautiful.
man. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, that I mean, she puts on like a crazy
Oh yeah.
show.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
She's a
just the
performer.
theatrics itself, you know.
That's one of their main things too that she wanted to do when that band started. Because she was really into art, and that's what she wanted to do her live shows, like be a big performance piece, correct?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I think I read somewhere that she grew up in theater,
Okay. Yeah.
or that at least she was into theater at some point and before music, and then when she got into music, she just like transferred it over.
Yeah.
I stumbled across one of their YouTube videos, man, like 2006, 2007, before they had the big production, like before they were huge,
Yeah.
and totally different vibe. Like she's wearing this like Alice in Wonderland some kind of dress, and she's just like jumping around, screaming. It's insane to like see that, and then where she is now. Like
Yeah.
she's not running anywhere. Like, but it's just a vibe. Like the whole show's, man. Like, and then she has like all the backup dancers and stuff. It's on stage with her. It's yeah, it's a great show. I've
Yeah.
seen I've seen her 3 times now.
And does her voice always sound good?
Oh yeah, phenomenal. It's always good.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Um, First time I saw them, um, I think it was. I think I was at the. Oh, it was at the War Memorial.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I like that venue.
Yeah, I don't. I know they were doing construction on it. I don't even know if they're still gonna do shows or what. I have no idea.
Yeah, I think I've only seen one show there, and it was Slayer and Testament.
Oh,
Um,
dope.
yeah, me and Brett from Guerrilla Warfare went.
Hmm.
I'd never been, and he had a free ticket, so he had to go sit upstairs, and I got floor seats, so I was down there by myself.
Hmm.
You know, I haven't really been to a show like that by myself before. And I was like, but you run into people when you used to go to shows anyway. So I ran into a few people I knew already. But yeah, that place was a great venue, man. They had wrestling in there one time. They had NXT wrestling in there once.
Oh
Not
wow.
maybe it wasn't NXT, maybe it was AEW. No, I think it was NXT. Anywho, but yeah, they had where the stage is. That's where the wrestlers came off. They came off the stage right
Hmm.
into the ring. So yeah, okay,
That's
interesting.
awesome.
Yeah.
The first show I saw there was it's when I was working security, and it was the Disco Biscuits.
Wow.
That was a good one. Then I saw Dead Weather,
Oh,
Jack White
nice.
band. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be really cool. How are they live?
You know, you talking about like the Dead Weather?
Uh-huh.
You ever talking about?
Yeah.
So I didn't know who they were when they like booked me for the gig, and I had no clue that Jack White was on drums. Right, so I'm just like, oh, it's a cool band. Like they sound great, and like they kind of sound like White Stripes, right? Um, but like one of the show, like one of the or what? Sorry, one of the songs, he like stands up and behind the kit, there's this like wall of like these like little octagons, like little tiles things,
Mhm.
and like he's like drumming on the wall, and as he's drumming on the wall, the lights like shoot up the wall, like through these like octagon tiles, whatever, that's like making a wall. It's kind of hard to explain, but that was one of the coolest things ever. It's very 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like them. I think they're. I mean, I honestly, I think I like everything Jack White does. He's such an amazing fucking performer, writer. I mean, everything he's done for music too. You know, fucking with bringing back a lot of those pressing plants, and then what he
Yeah.
does in Nashville with fucking Third Man Records. You know, it's
Mhm.
just like, man, he's
Yep.
just. I like it. He's super talented, super fucking talented. I've never gotten to see anything he's been in perform. I not even seen the White Stripes ever, you know. So it's
Wow.
yeah, but I hear he's a any show he does, they're great. So
Yeah. And I don't think the Dead Weather's even together anymore.
no,
But yeah, dude, that was a great show. Great show.
yeah, the Dead Weathers they have a chick, right? A chick singer, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
okay.
can't remember her name. Um but I'm pretty sure I think she was in some other project before that was fairly big, if I
And
remember
then
correctly.
the guitar one of the guitar player he was from I think he was in like Queens of the Stone Age, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, people like, you know, Jack White, Dave Grohl, like they're so super talented and every band that they're in is so fucking rad, you know. It's
Mhm.
quite cool. Um what's one of the what's like your dream band to to film in Nashville or anywhere, honestly. I mean, but
I've thought about this, but like I don't really have like one band. Like man,
I guess at the end of the day, I mean, if you love what you're doing, you're going to love everything you do and whoever photograph. Um, but I mean,
I
as of current, who have you really where you're like, wow, I got to film these guys.
um I mean even shooting like Zombie, man, like
Yeah,
a Zombie and like Alice Cooper, uh
legends.
that was like I'm like what am I doing? Uh, and then let's see. I mean, I'm just
Did you film Nine Inch Nails at that amphitheater?
no.
No.
You know, so Tool, so that like Maynard did like a I don't know if you
That
heard of
birthday
the show.
bash he did with
Yeah,
the
he did.
It was Pucifer, Primus, and Perfect Circle.
Uh, well, I thought it was a Promise, but yeah, I guess it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they had like all three on stage
Yeah.
at the same time, and I was like, man, and I knew some people that was like covering that show, and yeah, I was pretty upset that I didn't get to go to that.
Yeah, that would have been really
I
cool.
think I was shooting for the Breaking Benjamin Bush show whenever I saw the flyer for that, and like immediately I tried to put in for it, and it was already taken.
Yeah, the way I heard that show went was like, they would there was nobody no band was bigger than any other band. They all like they would do a couple songs and they would do a couple songs and they would sit on a couch or something, and then they would jam together, and then it was just like,
Hmm.
I mean, it was like, I think he did like maybe a week's worth of dates, and but yeah, that would have been really cool to see.
Yeah,
Really cool.
you know, I, you asked about like one of my what band would I uh like my goal or whatever, I guess.
Yeah.
So uh Kiss would have been that would have been like it for me, right?
Yeah.
And like I mean I've always liked Kiss, but I've never been like a just like a hardcore fan, you know?
Hmm.
But as far as like a show and like just the talent, like the band, like as a whole, like that would have been insane for me. Uh
That was last October.
So a friend of mine was he actually went to New York and shot them at the Madison Square Garden,
What?
their last show, and
Damn.
yeah, I was so jealous. So jealous. I mean, good for him, man. Like, he got some great shots, but like I was like that I wish that was me.
Do you try to get a lot more gigs out of area?
Um, I've done some stuff in like Huntsville, like
Mhm,
Alabama, and like some stuff in Louisville. Um, I don't I don't really like push for stuff like out of state.
mhm,
Um, I'm just like 98% of what I do is in Nashville or like surrounding area.
mhm.
Um, yeah,
Well,
like this show tomorrow, like Everclear is going to be, I think it's like an hour and a half
mhm.
away, something like that.
Yeah, I've never been to the caverns, but I've heard that's a great place to see shows because the sound in there is just so great.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's I don't know if they like are trying to copy like Red Rocks, but it's kind of that same vibe.
Mhm. There is what's the venue where it's actually in the cave?
Um,
It's here. It's around this area.
yeah, the caverns. It's
Oh, is that
inside.
okay?
Yeah,
Okay, okay, okay.
yeah. I mean, from what I saw for photos, I haven't been there yet, but
Yeah.
like from the photos, um, like the stage is probably like a few hundred feet, like inside.
Yeah, I saw video and photos from when Yellow Wolf performed there earlier this year inside there, and I was like, man,
Oh, dope.
that would have been fucking rad as shit. Um, so we've talked about this music. You also photograph beautiful women.
I do. Yeah, it's a fun gig. Somebody's got to do it, right?
What
Hard
got
work.
you into doing that?
So again, when I was covering like local bands, um there was I don't I had this one of the promoters that was doing this like series, like show series, like a local thing, um hit me up and was like, "Hey, if you ever want to do like portraits, hit me up and like we'll shoot something." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And mine, like I've never shot anything like this ever before. Like it was just shows, and so we set up and we did the shoot, and I was like, man, this is awesome. Like I can control the light, like I can actually like have some light,
Hmm.
I'm not shooting in pitch black, you know. um, so from there, like I posted those up, and then uh, one of her friends hit me up to do a shoot, and then one of her friends hit me up, and it was just like snowballed into uh, doing like big group events. Um, man, it's insane how things like just grow like rapidly. Um, I don't know. I just for me, like I've just never turned down a gig.
Yeah,
I feel like, and I'm nobody. Like I'm nobody. Like uh, you know, whatever. Like nobody knows me. But like, um, eh, I just try to stay humble and like I don't turn down a gig. Like if somebody's like, "Hey, can you do this?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, let's do it." Even if I'm like not 100% sure on like how to do it, I figure it out. You know.
for sure.
And I feel like that's how I've gotten to where I am. Um, just being like a good hang and like um being nice. Just being nice to people and never turning down a gig. I feel like that's how I've gotten to where I am, you know. Um yeah.
Now, now those kind of shoots with with the women and stuff. Are those your ideas that are in these photos, or they're their ideas? Or they?
It's a mix up.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes I'll have some type of vision in mind, and I'll say, okay, like I want to do this, but now I got to find the right model. So like I'll hit up somebody for it. I'm like, hey, would you be interested in doing this? And most for the most part, like it's kind of like after you get to know somebody a little bit, like once you work with them a couple times, you kind of know like what their interests are. So like, you know, you kind of like you know who to go to like ask like to shoot certain things. Um, Yeah, like I mean, my first shoot, like my first photo shoot, like a portrait session, was it was very experimental. Um, like I can't talk about like who it was just because
No, for sure.
she's like moved on and she's like an author now and
Okay. Yeah, yeah, you're good.
super dope chick, like super like really cool. And out of respect, like she like changed up her whole online presence and stuff. So
Yeah, for sure.
Um, yeah, so those photos are like nowhere now. So, but it was it was very grungy, mixed with like boudoir, you know.
Hmm.
Um, and I was just shocked. Like I don't know, I was like, man, this is great that like I can like actually control the light and like make like a great photo. And it's yeah, that was music's always been like my passion. So like concert photography is like my thing. That's what drives me. But all this other stuff, it's just being able to be creative, building a set or building a prop, or like using light a certain way, something like that. That's it just gets like like when you write a song
Yeah.
and you're like, yeah, like guitar players like playing a riff, and you're like, oh, what's that riff? Same thing is like, oh, how did he use this light like this way? Like, how did he do this? Same way.
Now, do you sometimes scout for locations for some of these photos, or do you have a place in mind that you already know of, or?
There's a lot of scouting.
Mhm.
Unless it's like a studio shoot, like if you can just shoot it up against a white wall, and like, just you're just doing like white wall, you might put like an RGB like light to change the color. That's other than that, like I tend to like shoot more like on location in different areas. Like I might shoot in a parking garage or like on the
Mhm.
roof of a parking garage downtown, or find this like really cool like piece of graffiti somewhere on a wall like around town and use that as a background. Um, we've even done like Airbnbs if you want to do like inside instead of booking a studio for whatever an hour. you can book an Airbnb and you have it for like the whole day.
Wow.
So like then you have the whole Airbnb to do whatever you want, you know.
Yeah, because you got so
Um,
many different rooms and different looks, and yeah.
yeah, I mean sometimes you might have a rooftop there, you might have like a back like patio, or there might even have like a yard. You know, you never know. So yeah, yeah, I mean like locations are important. Um, it's there's kind of a thing with photographers, like you don't really give away locations if
For
it's like,
sure, yeah.
yeah.
Like you think, oh, this is my spot, this is my photos, but
Hmm.
I mean, I'm sure if they find it on their own, cool, but you
Yeah,
take.
and I'm probably one of the more like relaxed photographers. Like I'm not like so hardcore about that, you know. But if it's like I've shot in some like abandoned places, like abandoned houses and stuff.
Yeah,
And first rule of thumb with abandoned places is you do not give away the location. Um, there's a it's not there now. Like it just literally just got torn down. But there was a home in south of Nashville that was um it when it was built, like the couple that lived there when it was built, it was like $3.5 million.
wow,
And skipping over like all the tragedy that happened, but like when it got abandoned, when it was left, it was a beautiful home. Like a bunch of stuff got left behind, and this guy that I know went in and did a tour of exactly how it is, and with abandoned places, like you want to leave it exactly how it was, if not better. You know what I mean? Like you don't touch anything, like you don't mess up anything. Well, over time, people started figuring out like where this place was, and they went in and like trashed the place.
yeah,
So you gotta think like this $3 million home is now like worthless. You know what I mean? It's like, um, but they just leveled it, and now they're building apartments there. So
oh, imagine that.
yeah, it just got leveled like last week. But I
Yeah,
I got to go in before it got demolished, but after it was trashed. So
yeah, I've seen talk about abandoned buildings. You see, there's a website on Instagram I follow. I think it's called like Nashville Abandoned or something, and they show a lot of these mansions that are out there that are just abandoned. It looks like that person just walked out and never came back, and everything
mhm.
was like the way they left it. Like their clothes are still in the closets.
That's how this
You know,
place was.
it's just like, man, and then somebody was at one, they claimed it was Taylor Swift's old abandoned, it's a Taylor Swift abandoned mansion, and this thing was immaculate, man. But it was but you could tell it's been empty. Obviously people have, but then people have been in there because there's graffiti on the wall. That's the
Hmm.
first thing that people do when they find something abandoned, they want to fuck it up. They graffiti the walls.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's sad, man, and that's the reason why we don't give out locations.
Yeah, that
So,
makes sense, man. That makes sense. When you do some of these abandoned locations though, and you go there, have you ever been approached while you're there?
there's only been one time where it's actually I was the one that like rolled up on like another group of people that was at this like location. They were actually shooting a music video.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I walk up with the model that I'm shooting with, and um there's this uh there's this chick on the front porch, and as soon as she sees us, like we're walking through a field, and she sees us and like runs inside real quick. So I'm like, okay, all right, what's going on, so like we just roll, like we just keep walking, and finally, like as we like get up inside, like we walk in the door, this guy walks down the stairs with a camera in his hand with a gimbal, and he's like, "Oh, okay, cool." Like, I told him, I was like, "Hey, we're just gonna be down here like shooting, like we'll stay out of your way." And we actually like exchanged like information, and it was pretty cool. Like they were shooting just this like music video of this guy just playing an acoustic guitar upstairs
Okay.
in one of the rooms, and we, the model and I, like we did our thing downstairs, and it worked out. Like, it was cool.
That's cool, man.
I know of like some stories where people went into a place and they didn't end up so well. Here in Nashville, actually. Um, what's crazy is the location that this guy went to is it's like right next to like this new like up and coming area where there's like some fancy bars, and dude got like attacked with an axe from like a
Because
homeless dude.
yeah, damn.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say because I'm sure that's something I was gonna ask next was like, do you guys find a lot of homeless people in these places if at times, you know, and that you know
I mean, I do quite a bit of research because, like, I don't want to put somebody in like a dangerous situation.
for sure,
So, sometimes I'll even go and check it out first, if I can. Or like, I'll go in and like kind of lead the way. I don't want to put anybody into a situation. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to
for sure.
do that. So, especially like I'm the one putting the shoot together, like I'm the one who's like picked the spot or whatever. It's like that's on me. Like I don't want to put anybody in that. So I do quite a bit of research before I ever do anything like that.
Now,
Um,
now when you do some of these photography, or these photographs, and I mean I've known some of them are pretty risque. Um, when you do these, say like downtown, like say in a parking garage,
yeah.
is it like okay, we only got X amount of time to do this because obviously there's people coming and going, or is the model like not concerned?
Um, there's always a concern because like you don't want to get caught up in that situation.
Yeah,
Um, I mean usually, uh usually the model's like not too worried about like really people seeing them so much as just like the getting caught and like getting into any kind of trouble or whatever.
yeah,
So like, speaking of like, on I did a shoot on a parking garage, like top floor, like a roof, downtown, and like around us there was some other like there was like a rooftop bar basically, or maybe it was like I think it was an apartment building actually, and they just had like a rooftop where people were partying,
yeah,
and they were above us, so like they could see like what we were doing. And they were probably like another maybe like 30 feet above us, so like they could just look over the edge and see us. Um, yeah, so I mean we did a shoot up there, and um so what I do is, we have it was dark. So what I did was just not have my light on until it was like time to like take the photo. And then like we turned it on, shot, and then we turned it right back off. So it was like, you know, you weren't just like walking around, in front of the light where it was
yeah.
like for everybody to see. So you try to make it private, as much as you can. And yeah, there is like a, hurry up kind of a thing. So
Gotcha. Yeah, it makes sense. Um, so I mean, basically nothing's off the tables for you. You'll try any. I mean, you'll shoot just about anything as long as it's
um
nothing crazy.
I mean, really anything creative, artistic.
Yeah, artistic.
Um
Yeah,
I don't, I've shot just about everything you can think of. Um but it's like what drives me is being able to like be creative, and I don't know, like just so like what like I think one of my niches is like contrasting beauty with like something that's like rustic, you know what I mean? So one of the my recent shoots, we found this old like abandoned fire truck from
ooh,
like, I mean, it was probably like a 1940s 30s, something like that, like fire truck. And it was all like rusted up, and like the paint's all like chipping off and faded. And so we did like we shot nude next to that. And So that was really cool. It was like, um, you know, just the contrast between, you know, like you put like a beautiful model in front of like this old, like, you know, junky looking fire truck that's all like rusted up. And I love stuff like that. You know,
Yeah.
it's like putting, it's like stuff that doesn't belong. Like what, like it's just random. I enjoy stuff like that. Yeah.
Where I mean, where was this located? Was this located in a town or was it out in the field?
I mean, I say abandoned. I mean, it was like a lot of stuff growing up around it. It
Yeah.
was still in town. It was still like in the Nashville area, but like behind the business, and you could tell like nobody's touched this thing in a
Yeah.
long time. You know, um, yeah, that was a really cool spot. It was like right next to like some train tracks. That's how we found it. Is we were actually like walking down the train tracks, and like it was like looked over and was like, what is that?
I bet you could find a lot of cool things just walking on the train tracks, though. A lot of cool scenery.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But that's where you have to also watch for homeless people, though.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I like when you're like driving, out in the country, not in the country, even on the interstate. Just driving. You look over, like for instance, when I was out in Denver, and you're driving on the interstate, or highway out there, I guess you call it, whatever, and you look over, and out in the field, there's this like old like carriage from like that used to get pulled by horses that's just been sitting there for who knows how many years, and it's
Yeah.
just still sitting there. That's pretty cool to see that.
I like to think about like the stories of like what brought it there.
Oh yeah, totally,
You know,
man.
it's like what happened? Why is it like why did it stop here? You
Hmm.
know, it's just
Yeah.
crazy to think about.
Yeah, I mean, everything has a story.
Hmm.
um so you got what's been the most craziest photo shoot that you've ever done, or
Um.
that really made you like have to work for it?
Oh. Mm. So there's two stories there.
Okay.
So one of the one of the craziest like shoots, I guess, like it was part of this group shoot that I did. It was in Panama City, and one of the days we were down there, we were supposed to be on this yacht, right? Like out in the ocean.
Okay.
Um Something happened with the motors in the yacht and they couldn't get back to the dock. So and like we booked the yacht to like go on it, you know. So they taxied us out into the ocean on a pontoon boat and a speedboat. So like from the dock, we like split our group up, and like half of us went on this pontoon boat, half went into the speedboat, and we're just like taxiing out in the ocean. And like we get up to like this yacht's just like anchored down next to like where this like little island is, and like I'm stepping off the pontoon boat onto the back deck of this yacht. It's like a 110-foot yacht, and there's like jellyfish all around me.
Oh hell no.
Yeah, yeah. So, but it was really cool. Like, you know, we're the whole time like we're shooting. Like, you don't like in the moment you don't really think about like, you know, I'm in the ocean. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like we're in this boat. You know, but it was like it was a really nice boat, man. Like it was I think it had like two bedrooms downstairs. Like there was three floors in when you went into like the main area of the yacht, it was like there was a big living room with like a TV on the wall. I mean, it was just like a house.
Yeah, that's insane.
Um, yeah, but you know, just the so when when we go to leave, like there was too many of us to fit on one boat, and the pontoon boat was like struggling to like get out because like the motors were small, I guess.
Yeah.
So what they had to do was they picked us up in two trips in the speedboat, and it's pitch black. So like I'm not a fan of like open bodies of water. So the fact
Okay.
that I went out on this yacht in the ocean is like big for me anyways. Um yeah, so we had like a call time of like, okay, the speedboat's going to take off at this time. They're going to take like this many people or whatever. So they left, and like there's like a few of us left on the boat, and so we're still like trying to get in a few like shoots or whatever. And then finally, like the boat comes back, and we all load up. Uh, so the yacht's big enough where you have to have. I think they had to have like 3 members, like crew members, to even like run the yacht like out in the ocean, like to even like to take off.
Hmm.
They had to have a crew. Like it's not just like, I'm gonna go out in my yacht today and just by myself and cruise. Like that, he has to have like a whole crew.
Yeah.
Uh, it's like that big. Um, yeah. So the guy that was supposed to drive the boat back, I guess, was like drunk, and he couldn't operate a boat. And then like the other like deckhand was like, I guess he got high or something. I don't know. Like they couldn't. So like the guy that doesn't have like a license had to drive us back, and the dude that was actually had a license that was like supposed to be able to take us back, the drunk guy like was the one that was like telling the other guy where to go.
Fuck.
And we're like trying to get back to shore, like back to the dock, and the guy's using a flashlight. So we're in this boat in the ocean, like cruising, like we're doing like probably 50, 60 miles an hour, and dude's like driving by flashlight.
And you already don't want to be there because of the water.
Man, so the one he made this like real sharp like right turn, and my shoulder was like level with the water,
Oh
like
hell.
almost to the edge of the boat. Like we almost took on water, and it was on my side. I was like, okay, this is how it ends. This is how this ends for me.
That's
Um,
insane.
yeah, so that was like one of the crazy, stories, I guess. But one that actually like worked for, man.
I guess more like I guess what I'm saying is like it's one that you really had to put in a lot of work to get that shot to be like, like that to make it work out.
Um, I mean, it was kind of over time, but like I bought this clawfoot tub. It was
Okay.
made in, it was like 1924 or something like that. So when it was made, it's like a cast iron like clawfoot tub.
Okay.
Um, I refurbished it, like I sanded everything down, painted it, and like put a new faucet and like bought all the parts and stuff to make it like brand new. And I used it for this. It was actually last Halloween. I used it for this like mini session, and I bought these like big drapes and chandelier, and like I went crazy with the setup and set it up in the middle of the woods, and we did this like bloodbath mini last year. It was a lot of work. It was fun though. Um, yeah, I mean, I had like a lit chandelier in the middle of the woods hanging over a clawfoot tub.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's like white drapes hanging behind it, like it kind of looks like a window, like you're looking through the window, but the window was the woods.
How did you power that?
Just like a portable power station.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Makes it easy now. I actually, it's basically like an electric generator.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a car battery in a box, and you just plug into it
Now
with
was
like a
this
big.
like one of those milk bath photos?
Um, I mean, essentially, it's kind of the same,
Yeah.
but usually a milk bath, they usually do flowers. They'll put flowers in it, like where it's
Okay.
floating. Um, and I've used this
Now
stuff. Like I've done I've done milk bath. I've done a glitter bath, blood bath.
now milk baths, is that really milk?
So what you do is,
I don't have to give out the secret.
well, yeah, I mean it's cool. Like you don't have to fill up the whole tub with milk.
Yeah.
So what you do is you pour like a bath of like water, right? And then you
Uh-huh.
put depending on how big it is, like for a clawfoot tub, you really only need like a half a gallon of milk. So and some the first time I ever did one, the model didn't want to like sit in like real milk, so she used like almond milk, and it looks the
Okay.
same. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Because like milk's, I mean, it's basically just fat, right? So you're like
Yeah.
in a tub of fat, you know. um, so it's kind of gross when you really think about it, but like,
Yeah.
so she used almond milk, and it worked out great. The last one I did, like she brought like, you know, purity milk or whatever, like, you know, and yeah, so like, I mean, anywhere between like a half a gallon to a gallon of milk inside of a bathtub. It's really all you need. And
That
it
sounds.
works. It's just enough to make it where it's like white instead of like clear.
Yeah, I always wondered how that worked.
Yeah, so we the last one I did for that glitter bath, we used I think we just used like a half a gallon of milk, and then we poured a bunch of glitter. We bought like 6 tubs of glitter and
Toe.
just poured all over like top of the water and on her. Yeah, it was fun. There's still glitter in my house,
I'm
like
about to
from that.
say you can't get rid of glitter. I
And
remember
yeah.
I went and saw Kesha one time at a club, um, and this is when she was first coming up. It was tiny, but she shot glitter guns in the air,
Oh, that's awful.
and I had my beard at the time, and I had glitter in my beer for weeks, and I would
Yeah.
you because you can't. I mean, no matter how hard you wash that shit, it doesn't wash out.
Nope.
It sticks in your fucking beard, man. It's like
Hmm.
you want to. Yeah, that's why glitter bombs. When people fucking glitter bomb somebody, yeah, you got them good because you're gonna have that glitter in your house for years.
Have you seen the scammer guys where they made the glitter bomb, where like the porch pirates?
Okay.
Have you seen that YouTube video?
Nuh-uh.
There's this guy that designed a glitter bomb that, so at the time, like when it came out, do you remember it was like the Apple Home? It was like a speaker,
Yeah, I remember that.
Apple speaker. So
Oh
like,
yeah, yeah, I did see that. And then when they're in the car, it goes off inside the car.
yeah, and it just
Yep.
like when they lift the lid off,
Yeah.
like this little thing like just spins glitter everywhere, and then they
Yep.
do like a fart spray. Yeah,
Yeah, I
that
remember
was
that
great.
guy.
I was like, these guys are onto something.
Yeah, I remember that. A buddy of mine, he had a horrible neighbor, and a friend of ours sent him sent him over a glitter bomb and a big chocolate dick and all kinds of shit. But the glitter bomb was the best one, though. I've
Yeah.
always wanted to do that to somebody I liked, just to send them a glitter bomb.
So
But I
this
don't.
place I used to work, we had these, you know, those like, you ever go to like a trade show or whatever, and they
Mhm.
have these like big banners
Yeah.
hanging from the rafters. Well, those are like metal, like galvanized pipe, basically. It kind of looks like the frame of like a trampoline. It's just like a tube, right? And then they stretch fabric over it. Well, inside there, there's these like little clips, and they're like a little spring. Well, we used to go to like, we play a trick on other people that work there, right? So like, you take one of those little springs and you put a hole in a bottle cap, and you put the pin through the bottle cap, and you fill that up with like baby powder,
Okay.
and you put it in their toolbox drawer. So when they open the drawer, it springs like baby powder in your face. It just goes it's like a big poof of like baby powder. It was great.
I mean, I'd be okay with baby powder compared to glitter.
Yeah, yeah, it's much better, but still, like, you gotta walk around all day with that all over you.
Yeah. And yeah, at least you smell good, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, that was the upside for it.
um, well, Josh, let's see. I'm gonna start winding it down a little bit. What's like? I mean, obviously you're doing this full time now, which that's great to know that you're able to do that. What is your end goal? Like, what do you want to keep doing? Like, what's your end goal with doing this business?
I mean, honestly, so, obviously, like, I'd love to go on tour,
Okay.
you know? I'd love to go on tour with a band, and, um, you know, I've been around the music scene enough, like, I know, like, what the life is like, and I think it would be fun. It's just you have to find the right people. Like, touring with people can be difficult, you have to have the right people. Um, but that's one of my goals. That's like the, you know, that's like the number one goal, I guess. But also like I'd love to open my own studio up, my own photography studio. Because so I was a carpenter for a while. That's that whole story with the baby powder.
Okay.
So like I can build sets, like I can build stuff, and I like anything creative. That's me, Um, so I'd love to have a studio where like I can build my own sets and like basically rent it out when I'm not using it, or like rent it out and then use it when it's not rented, basically. Yeah. But yeah. So if I had a studio of my own that I could like you know set up like different areas that people can come in and use, um and if it, at some point when it gets big enough to where it kind of runs itself, then I can have somebody come in and work for me, and I can go on tour while my studio is at home making money. Yeah.
And now, have you tried? Is there any bands that you maybe would like to or try to maybe contact already, or not yet? You haven't tried, got that far yet?
You mean for like for the studio, or are
No,
you like just on tour?
to tour.
Um, I haven't really.
Yeah,
There's other stuff that's kind of got in the way where
yeah.
I'm just like, at some point I'll start like pushing for that. Um, maybe maybe in the next year or so. It's not like I want to go like right now,
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
But it's at some point that's kind of my goal. I'd like to do that. There's there's a legend of like it's like a photographer. He's like a rock legend. Like he shot like, I mean, you name it, like Beatles, Rolling Stones, like everybody, even metal with like he shot. When I shot for Pantera, he was in the photo pit, and at first I didn't even realize he was there. And after the show, I was like, "Oh man, I missed my opportunity." It's like you like say you're in the crowd and like the whole like you're at a show and the whole time you're sitting next to some guitarist, name anybody that's like you look up to, and the whole time you didn't even realize, like he was in the band that you love, whatever.
Yeah,
It'd be like Gavin Rosdale sitting next to you,
you don't know it.
and you don't even know like Gavin Rosdale's sitting next to you like the whole show, and you're like, damn. Yeah, but that dude like yeah, that's kind of like where he's at, is like he does a lot of shows, but he also does some studio like portraits and stuff like for bands. Um, and yeah, that's where he's at. It's kind of where I want to be. So
That's cool. I mean, we all we gotta do, like I always say the same thing. I want to be here. I want to be here. But if I'm not making the progress to do it or making the effort to do it, I'm not gonna go there. So I gotta work it.
yeah.
Um, there's a dude from the '80s, an old '80s, like he used to do all the hair bands back in the day. Mark Wise guy. He goes by Mark. He's Mark. He used to fucking do like all the glam rock bands. The guy, he has a book out now too that just came out. I can't remember the name of the book, um, but it has like all his photos from the '80s and '90s, and it's just some great stuff. And he's a
Mhm.
really cool. But he still shoots people today. But yeah, back
It,
in I'm sure it was a lot easier back in the '70s and '80s to become a well-known photographer and get in with these
mm.
bands because there wasn't a whole lot of photographers out there, like it is. Do you think it's a flooded market right now for photography?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
It's yeah, it's insane. I mean, so and I guess I'm part of the group, but like um when COVID hit, everybody picked up a camera.
Hmm.
Everybody was trying to figure out like something to do, somehow to make money where they didn't have to involve somebody else. Same thing with doing like audio stuff. Really,
Yeah.
um, even people were trying to like make like music by themselves. Um, so yeah, I mean, once COVID hit, like there was a huge spike in photography or in videography. Yeah, so now like I feel like Nashville's just like so saturated. It's insane. And that's why it's tough to like get on like tour with people like or like locally.
Yeah.
Like Jelly Roll is local, right?
Yep.
He grew up here, right? You would think like I grew up here, like right outside of town, and
You got
you
you
would
guys are
think we'd
probably
like.
about the same age, huh?
He's a little older.
How old are you?
Uh,
How old are you?
I'm 36.
Okay, yeah, he turns 40 in December, so yeah.
Yeah. Uh, I remember like him and Haystack were doing shows in right outside of town. It's like a little bitty city, and like at a skating ring.
Huh.
Like I remember that like as a kid, and now he's like number one what album I think he just got, whatever,
Yeah, yep, yep.
and like selling out stadiums and stuff. Like I love it, man. But
Such a genuine dude.
yeah, and like you'd think like growing up in the city, like basically at the same time, like you'd know some people, like you would think I'd have like some connections, like I'd be able to like cover Jelly Roll, right? Dude is like the hardest person to get a hold of. Like I've tried like for the last 2 years, I've been trying to like cover Jelly Roll. So I guess you ask like who I want to shoot. Like Jelly Roll is like one of them.
Yeah.
Um, I've been like I've been in some music videos with people that work with him, and like I know people that worked with him, but like I can't for whatever reason. I don't know why, but like it's just next to impossible to like cover one of his shows. I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy because everybody likes to take everybody you feel like it'd be like you said you would know somebody that at least knew him, especially being from the area,
Mhm.
but no, I just listened to a podcast with him the other day. This dude named Jay Shetty.
Okay.
Um, it was probably the most in-depth, detailed like podcast I've ever listened to. A Jelly Roll, like it got deep, like
Mhm.
really deep. The guy that the host of the show, he has like 1.5 million fucking followers on YouTube, and
Insane.
but he had Jelly Roll's brother write him a letter. Jelly Roll's older brother,
Mhm.
and man, I got touched up just because Jelly Roll didn't know this letter was coming his way, and he had just talked to his brother like the day before, and didn't even mention that he wrote a letter for this podcast for to be read, and
Mhm.
it got touchy, man. It's like whoa, it's pretty teary eyed, but
But
dude's just a regular old cat, man. He doesn't. He's like, I am not famous. I'm just a dude that writes shitty songs that people like.
yeah, exactly. And you say like he does that a lot, like almost everything. Like
Hmm.
he's not afraid to like get deep with like conversation about like he's not afraid of like showing who he really is.
Oh no, I mean, he don't care if he's a sensitive guy, like that's cool,
Yeah.
I mean, to think about what he wasn't even a guy that he was just still kind of like he wasn't where he's at now. Like last year or year before last, when he went and spoke in front of Congress, like that was a deep. Like he got into that speech, man. Like that
Yeah.
Congress speech about
That
the
was a
epidemic.
fentanyl, right?
Yep, yep. And the way he said it was like if you had what was it the airplane that 747 crash. I forgot how many times. I mean, how many people died on those planes every other day or whatever. That's
Mhm.
how many people are dying from fentanyl overdoses a day. It's just
Yeah.
dude. But dude
People
speaks
don't
mind.
realize like you put it into perspective for people and it's like, damn.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Uh, he is the one. That guy is the man with the most like. He'll say the way he talks is just funny, man. Because he always speaks like, walking down the street is like gargling on some marbles or some shit. He just says
Mhm.
some off shits. But I like listening to the guy, man. I really enjoy his music. This new album was really touching. I mean, really really emotional. Like
Mhm.
after the first opening song, man, I got choked up, and then it's a great record. It's a great
Yeah.
album. So,
Yeah.
well, Josh, I've enjoyed speaking with you for the last hour. It's been good.
Yeah, man.
I've been
Same.
wanting to do this for a while. Um,
Yeah, we finally made it happen.
yep, for sure, for sure. Um, is there where can people catch you on the interweb at?
Oh man. The biggest place where I like you can see most of my work is on Instagram. It's lowlight underscore low life. That's where I post all my concert photography. From there you can see all my other stuff. There's links and stuff, but I do have a website. I never update it. I'm terrible with it. So yeah, definitely Instagram. I do have a TikTok, but it's the same thing on there. Again, it I haven't done so much with social media. I've kind of slowed down a little bit with that and just kind of
Okay,
living life,
for sure.
just doing thing in the moment versus like trying to live on the internet. And it is what it is. So, but yeah, so Instagram, that's like my big thing. I do have like Patreon for my other photos. So if that's something you're into, you can always look that up. Um, yeah,
All right. Well, Josh, like I said, it's been real, man, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day and talking with me. And we'll chat again later, man.
yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, buddy. See ya.
See ya.